Hello, my fellow individuals! I am Mr. Mini Mask Man here, and today I'm going to review Season 6, Episode 6 of Game of Thrones. Now, obviously, if you've not watched the episode, don't watch this video yet because it contains spoilers. Sorry it took me a while to upload this video. Usually I do it on the day of the episode or the day after, but I've just been busy with quite a couple of things. But anyways, here it is now. I thought this episode was okay. Not the best or the worst either. It was alright. Nothing big happened, but there is quite a few things to talk about though in this video. Or in this episode, I mean. Yeah, I thought this one was alright. There's some people, they didn't like it at all. They were just bored of the episode, but I thought there were some very interesting things that did happen though in this episode. But yeah, I guess I just go ahead. It shouldn't be too long compared to my other videos as long as I don't blabber a lot. But yeah, this episode, there's not that much exactly to talk about except for a few major things. So let me go ahead and break down the episode. It starts out with Bran and Mira taking Bran while Bran is having his visions. And this was, after the previous episode. Still running away from the Whites and the White Walkers. Now, here's the interesting thing. On Bran's visions, he sees all the events that happened, recently during this time and from the previous seasons. Now, here's the new thing that we seen. We see somebody in the throne, in the Iron Throne, somebody completely different that we haven't seen yet in the show, and he's keep yelling, "Burn them all! Burn them all!" And we know who that is. The Mad King. They finally showed us the Mad King in this series. So I thought this was interesting how they show the Mad King here, and I guess it'll play again a big role of why Bran is seeing the Mad King in his visions, or maybe he's learning more of the history, during Robert's Rebellion and so forth. But yeah, we finally see the Mad King, and I read some interesting theories that either Bran or the Three-Eyed Raven was the one that, just like what Bran did with Hodor, probably the same thing happened with the Mad King. Maybe they meant burn them all through telling to burn all the White Walkers, but the Mad King just heard the voices and just kept yelling it out. Now, obviously there's some other people saying, no, that didn't happen because the Mad King is mad. He's through long lines of incest, inbreeding with the Targaryens. That's how he was. Just, his mind was pretty messed up. But yeah, I don't know which is which. We'll have to find out. I'm actually very interested to learn more about that. And you even see a tiny scene where Jaime Lannister killed the Mad King during Bran's vision. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool when I saw that. I was like, oh, the Mad King. But anyways, then Mira couldn't take him anymore, couldn't carry him. She just lied down, feeling sad and crying for Bran because she couldn't protect him anymore. The Whites are coming closer. I believe Bran wakes up after more of those visions that he sees. And then we see somebody in a hood with a scarf. All you see is his eyes on a horse. He has a flail, and he ignites it with fire. And he starts freaking killing all the Whites around him. Now, when that happened, I thought of two characters came to mind, which I will again probably explain later in the review. But two characters came in mind when I saw that, and I was pretty stoked. I was like very excited. I'm like, oh, this might be one or the other person. But yeah, he came there. He kicked their asses. There was more coming, obviously. So he got Bran and Mira on the back of his horse and say, okay, let's get out of here. Just come with me. So somebody rescued Bran and Mira. I'm like, alright, good, they're safe. And we get this either new or old character return. Now, after that, we focus on Sam and Gilly. This episode focused a lot, at least 1/6 of the episode, I'll say focused a lot on Sam's arc in this one. So we see Sam and Gilly and baby Sam, or little Sam, in a wagon, and they're going to where Sam's parents live at I forgot the name of the place. I'm sorry. Old Town, I think that was called, or I might be wrong, but anyways, they're going there, and Sam basically tells Gilly, hey, when you're around my dad or anybody, don't mention that you're a wildling, and tell that baby Sam is actually, I'm the father. Not, Craster's. so they arrive, and you see, God, dude, Sam's living it, the life. His castle's huge. We already knew that he's comes from a really wealthy family and all that, but I mean, that was like, God, dude, he had like a lot of servants. It was huge. I'm like, dang, And then we see Sam's mom and his little sister there, greeting them and all that. And his mom and sister are pretty nice with Sam and Gilly and so forth. And then, they said, they see Gilly, and he says, this is just like, let's get you dressed up, we have dinner tonight, and your father and your brother will be there, talking to Sam. We're like, okay, but basically that's just all you need to know what happened on that. Sam and Gilly finally arrive, and then they're gonna have dinner. We're gonna meet Randall Tarley, which is Sam's dad, later on. Now, after that, we shift focus to Tonman talking to the High Sparrow for a bit, and the High Sparrow says, hey, you want to see your wife Marjorie, Tyrell? So he goes sees Marjorie, and we see Tonman and Marjorie finally meet up for quite a while now, since she was in imprisonment. And Tonman was, asking, to rescue her and all that, or if they treat her bad. And you see Marjorie just sort of like, no, it's okay, The High Sparrow's a pretty cool guy. He let me reveal the truth of who I am, of my sins that I committed, and so forth. And Tonman was just kind of confused. But now, the only part that was interesting in that scene was she was talking to Tonman, basically saying that, just let this go, basically. Just believe in what the High Sparrow is. He's actually a good guy. That's basically what she's saying. Now, I don't know if Marjorie actually is converted into that religion, I think it was the religion of the Seven, or, yeah. Was it the religion 7? God, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting this, but, basically what the High Sparrow believes and the rest of the Sparrows. I don't know if she's actually converted now, or if she has a plan of her own and just pretending, that she's converted, she believes in what the High Sparrow is and will become part of the faith that they believe in. But anyway, she's basically trying to convince Tonman that it's alright, and that, just don't do anything to High Sparrow or the Sparrows, and just let everything just go by. So, that's all you kind of see there. Now, after that, we go back to Sam and Gilly, and they're actually at the dinner table, and you actually see Sam's dad and his brother after they came back from a hunt. They were eating a very awkward family dinner. Nobody spoke for a while, until Sam, mentioned something about the food or where they got it from the hunt and all that. And then, it was just kind of like, it was going well for a bit until, once Sam's dad, what his first words when Sam was getting more bread, he's what, you're not fat enough? And Sam just kind of stopped and just say, okay, never mind about the bread. And then we just kind of see how much of a douche his dad is. I mean, in a way I kind of get why he wants Sam to toughen up, be strong and all that. Just like what I guess most strict parents are. They want the best for their kid, but on the other hand, he's not really a nice guy either. He goes too far. And too insulting, I would say. Way too insulting. So, but anyways, he starts insulting Sam a bit. It's like saying, oh, you're not the son that I wanted, or stuff like that, or, the Castle Black didn't make you strong, or make you a man as I wanted to. And then, Gilly defends Sam, basically tells him, hey, he killed a Thane, he killed a White Walker, and, his brother didn't believe him because he doesn't believe in White Walkers, like apparently most people in Westeros that don't live in the north. But yeah, and then she was telling him, how they coming down to Castle Black, and that's when Randall Tarley, Sam's dad, notices that she's way north of, north of the wall, far from the wall. So he knows that she's a wildling. And then he gets frustrated. He starts insulting her. He said that he hates wildlings and that he just couldn't take it. And he was now here's the important detail of this scene. When he was telling Sam, hey, look at this sword that we have from our family for like 500 years ago. This was our sword called Heartsbane. That's Valyrian steel. He says, there's not that many, which obviously we know there's not that many Valyrian steel anymore during this time. So now we get to see another sword of Valyrian steel. I'm like, I see. But anyways, he basically just keeps commentating to say he wants Sam to leave tomorrow, immediately. And he'll use Gilly as like a kitchen maid and he'll raise Sam's, little Sam, I guess as his own, in a way, so. But then, the mom gets frustrated and she just, tells Gilly and her daughter, to leave the dinner table since they can't take hearing more of those comments from him. So, and then Sam just didn't really say anything. And then you see Sam and Gilly talking, and he was just telling her that he was apologizing. He stood up for her, but she said it was okay, that she just doesn't like it when, bad people get away with insulting the good ones. So he basically tells her goodbye and all that, and he leaves. And then a few seconds later, he comes back, and he says, you know what? Screw this, we're going, we're leaving, let's get out of here. So he grabs Gilly, he grabs little Sam, and they're leaving. I'm like, okay, there he goes, Sam, standing up for himself. So he's leaving, he doesn't care, and then the best part is he actually goes and grabs Heartsbane, the sword. So Sam grabs the Valyrian steel sword, and he says, Gilly's like, what do your dad think? And he says, well, he might as well bloody hell fight for it then. And then he leaves, with Gilly and little Sam. I forgot where they're going. I think at the Citadel, but, they're leaving and he took the sword. So that important factor is like, okay, there's obviously a point that they're showing us another Valyrian steel weapon, and Sam has it. So I think this is going to be an interesting part later down the road, once the White Walkers get more involved after passing the wall and gets to almost all of Westeros. So I can't wait to see what Sam's going to do. Even though a lot of people didn't care what Sam does, all that. But I actually believe there's something important that Sam will do. So I believe in Sam. So I can't wait to see what happens there. Now, after that, we go back to Arya. And she's watching the play again. It was showing, how Joffrey died, the events when Joffrey died, and she was laughing while everybody else was booing on that event. Because, she knows the truth of who he is, and I guess the people in Bravos don't, because they heard the stories in a different way, how they're portraying it. Now, she's watching the play, she sees the actress that she has to kill, and she sees that she's a really good actress. But after that, and she sees the other actress that paid the Faceless Men who kill her. She sees her, memorizing her lines, expecting her to die pretty soon so she can take her place. Obviously. Now, you see her backstage. She pours the, I believe the poison in her wine or in her drink. And then, once she's leaving, the actress sees her and is like, hey, haven't I seen you before in the audience? And she's like, yeah. I was saying, and I see you back here. Do you even work here? Or did you even pay to watch the play? And she's like, no. And then she basically talks to Arya, just has a somewhat deep conversation where she's actually, she's a pretty nice person, the actress. And she kind of sees, some, things from Arya, and Arya just kind of feels bad that she has to kill her, and then they just kind of stop talking, she just kind of leaves. And then you see she was about to take a drink, and as she was about to take the drink, Arya pushes the drink out of her hand, and she basically points at the other actress, and he says, be careful with her, she wants you dead. And then they just all kind of look at her, and she walks away. And then as she's walking away, we see the waif, I don't know how you pronounce it, the other girl from the Faceless Men that's training her. She looks at her and she was there. Now she goes to Jaqen H'ghar, where he's peeling another face from a corpse. And, he says, says what happened. Basically, he's like, did she do it? He's like, no. And he's like, oh, it's a shame. Basically she had potential. And then she says, the wife says, you promised. And he's like, yeah. Like, okay, that's fine. He's like, just don't make her suffer. So the wife is basically now after Arya. I assume to kill her. But there's some other people spectating that it's actually going to be something different. Maybe a little twist. That maybe is another test. We don't know. But I think we see the wife, she's pretty envious of Arya. Because Jaqen H'ghar sees more potential in her. Focuses on her more than, than the wife. But anyways, we see actually Arya grabbing Needle. She finally gets Needle back when she goes through the rocks where she hid her sword Needle, and then she's somewhere in a cavern in the dark with a candle. She basically blows out the candle with the sword Needle in her hand. So I assume we're gonna expect Arya and the wife probably either fighting, to the death, basically. So I see Arya made her choice. She's grabbing Needle, probably kills the wife, and maybe Jaqen H'ghar, I'm not sure. But now we can see that she doesn't want to be part of the Faceless Men anymore. She did her training, she kind of knows what she has to do, and she doesn't want to lose her whole identity, because she still wants to be Arya Stark and complete her revenge list. So, yeah. I'm trying to recall after that happened. We see King's Landing. So we're about to see Margaery's Walk of Atonement. You remember from Cersei. And then we see Mace Tyrell in his armor with his men, with his army, and Jaime Lannister. And they're going towards where the High Sparrow is, where Margaery is. And their goal is just to rescue her and fight the High Sparrows. And Olenna Tyrell arrives too. So they're basically, Jaime confronts the High Sparrow, and he says, you better let her go, or else this is gonna get pretty messy. And then now I was expecting, this is when they start freaking, fighting. This is where the little war begins between the Sparrows and the Lannisters and Tyrells. Now, the twist here that I didn't see coming, or sorta. I sort of did, but not really at the same time. But basically High Sparrow says, you know what? There actually won't be a Walk of Atonement, and the crowd was like all confused, like, huh? And he says, yeah, because Margaery, she already confessed her sins and all that. She's devoted to the faith, so she doesn't have to anymore. So it's because we have some other person that she converted, and we see him open the gates, and then you see Tommen walking down with his guards, and you see the guards have like the sign from the Seven, I think, their religion. Now he's fully converted thanks to Margaery convincing him, and I assume because of the High Sparrow. And the High Sparrow unites both the power of the crown and the faith together. So now that's even more power for the High Sparrow, thanks to now Tommen Baratheon approving of what he's doing. So now they're united. And then even, Mace Tyrell looks at Olenna, like saying, what's happening? It's like, what's happening? And she basically tells him, don't you see, we're losing. Either we're losing or we lost. They say that's what's happening. And then you kind of see a smirk from the High Sparrow's face, and Jaime's just really pissed. And then we see, Tommen basically telling Jaime if he wants to fight against, if he wants to fight against the faith or the Sparrows, he's basically going against the crown, or the king, meaning Tommen himself. And then, he takes away his armor. It reminds me of the scene with Barristan. The same thing that happened when Joffrey, just told him to not be a Kingsguard anymore because he's old and so forth. Same exact scenario that what I'm saying with Tommen, but with Jaime. So Jaime gets pissed, obviously, and because you see Tommen's fully been manipulated by the High Sparrow. I expected Tommen to fight back, but he's still just, in a way, he's still just a young kid, or teen. And he's being very easily manipulated by the High Sparrow, by Margaery, even by his mom. He's just going everywhere. Tommen is just a puppet. So, Yeah, so the High Sparrow now has him in his grasp. And Tommen just basically says, okay, you're not going to guard here in this castle anymore, but you're going to go somewhere else. I believe in a Riverrun. The situation's happening in Riverrun. And that's for the next scene. We see Walder Frey. We haven't seen him since Season 3, I believe. And we see him again. I'm like, oh, hey, back to the Freys. And he's basically very, very angry, talking to his two sons about why they're having trouble fighting against Blackfish and the Tullys. And, basically they're saying they're losing men, and so they don't have a chance against them. They're too strong. They know the land, the castle, etc. So the Freys are in trouble. But Walder Frey, and the fun thing, he pointed out, both of the sons about what they did. One of them killed Talisa Stark. Yeah, because she got married, so technically she's Stark. But the one that stabbed her in the stomach when she was pregnant during the Red Wedding, and the other one that killed Catelyn Stark. So by including those details, I highly assume this is the phrase. I think this is their time now. Time. They're probably gonna be dead this season, and I think it's gonna be by the Tullys, by Blackfish, and those guys. I think they're gonna take care of the Freys, which I am glad for some little bit of justice in this Game of Thrones world. But yeah, but Walder Frey says, hey, we still got Blackfish's nephew, the one that married Walder Frey's daughter instead of Robb Stark originally. And we see him again too. I'm like, oh, hey, is this guy? And they have him captive, and then they have a plan basically to use him as some leverage for Blackfish and all that. So I can't wait to see how that one plays out. So now we're going to see more, I believe next episode, we're going to see a lot more about what's happening in Riverrun, the Tullys, Blackfish, and we hear a second or third mention of the Brotherhood Without Banners. That's the other detail that I'm interested. Where I'm just kind of like, they keep mentioning these guys. We haven't seen them since, season 2 or 3. And now we keep hearing them again. And I heard rumors or, sources that one of them, the one that, the Red Priest, just like, Melisandre and the one from, and Meereen, from the Religion of the Light, that he will show up this season. If that's true, I don't know if we're gonna see Lady Stoneheart, maybe? But it's almost like late in the series, so I don't know if they're gonna use Lady Stoneheart, which is, by the way, for Catelyn Stark revived. It's like I kind of do want to see it, but at the same time, I'm like, where are they gonna go from there, from her to her character? So, but Brienne is going to Riverrun, to talk with Blackfish and the Tullys to unite. And now Jaime's also going there too, so there's like there's a pretty decent chance we might see Lady Stoneheart. If not, they'll probably use another character or they'll do something else, but it's kind of going around that route a little bit. But there's gotta be a reason why they keep mentioning the Brotherhoods Without Banners. But anyway, that's another important detail that I saw from that scene. Okay. Next thing we see, Jaime and Cersei, basically Jaime telling us to go to Riverrun, and he really wants to freaking kill the High Sparrow. And basically Cersei's just awaiting. She says, don't worry, my trial, my combat is coming up, and I still have the Mountain, or Sir Robert Strong in this case. Or in the show, now they call him Sir Gregor, because why not? So, but yeah, she basically has him as his champion, and I don't know which the Sparrows, who are they going to use it for their champion. But yeah, nothing happened, It basically just says, we belong together, and, we demand justice and revenge, blah, blah, blah. And then we get some ancestry making out and so forth. Typical Jaime Cersei thing. After that, we go back to Bran. Now you see Bran and Mira Reed. They look at the guy and they're saying, who is this guy? And he says, oh, Bran, I saw you, when you were a kid, you used to climb walls and all that. You were very adventurous and so forth. And then, once he said that, then I knew who he was immediately. From what I said earlier in this video. I expected two characters, either one or two characters, when he appeared. So once he said that, I'm like, okay, I know who this is now. And then Bran's like, who are you? And then he takes his hood and his scarf. And we finally see Uncle Benjen Stark back. God, dude. Since frickin' season 1. I believe he was only there for the first 2 episodes, or 3 at most, in season 1. And then he went back. He went to North of the Wall, and he says, I'll be back, when he talked to Jon Snow. No, we never seen him again. But he is back. The same actor, too, surprisingly. But I'm like, holy crap, it's Uncle Benjen. Or Benjen Stark. And I'm glad there's at least another Stark alive. So, good thing, huh? And he basically, Bran says, you know what happened? He says, well, I was there. I was jumped basically by White Walkers, and they freaking stabbed me right in the gut with their ice sword, and he was basically gonna die and convert into a White Walker. Or a white, I mean, in this case. But the children of the forest, they found him in time, and they put the obsidian or the dragon glass, just like the White Walkers did, right in the heart. So he's almost like, in a way, he's almost like he's half dead and half alive. So because once he mentioned that, and you kind of see a little bit of Benjen Stark's face is a little bit odd. I'm like, oh, so he's also Cold Hands? That was the other character I had in mind. So I'm like, so I think this is Benjen Stark as Cold Hands. But I think they're just not going to refer to him as Cold Hands. I think he's sort of playing that role from the books as Cold Hands, but instead as Benjen Stark. Now, George R. R. Martin, I believe, said Benjen Stark is not Cold Hands, but I think he's talking about the book. In the series, I think they're just kind of combining both characters. But anyways, it's pretty cool now. We see Benjen Stark, and he basically tells Bran, you're the new Three-Eyed Raven. And I'm going to help you out, to guide you, and you're going to continue doing what you got to do. Whatever Bran's up to, what he has to do, with the visions and so forth. It's pretty cool to see Benjen Stark back. So I can't wait to see more about him and all that. And more of Bran's visions, because Bran's visions get more interesting. We're seeing more and more relevance from the past and how they're portraying the present, or even in the future. And these characters that we keep hearing about and we're finally seeing, like the Mad King. So, I thought that was pretty cool that he's back. Last thing was back to Meereen with Daenerys. You see Daenerys and Daario and all the Dothraki riding. And Daario's like saying, you're not a ruler, you're more of a conqueror. Basically telling Daenerys, you're just a conqueror. He said, that's more of your thing. Your thing's not really ruling. I believe that's what Daario was implying. But Daenerys, she sees something ahead, she tells everybody to wait. She rides on her horse and goes somewhere. And then we see, we finally see Drogon, the dragon, fly. We see it flying, and we're like, yes, here's the dragon. And we see Drogon flying, and he's freaking huge, man. And you see, Daenerys riding Drogon. And then we see him land, and then she looks, all the Dothraki just looking at her, like all shocked. First time seeing a dragon. And basically, all you need to know there, that Daenerys basically is giving her very high motivated speech in Dothraki language, where all the Dothraki are like, yeah, and all that. Because she's basically telling him, are you going to fight for me? Are you going to help me rule Westeros, the Iron Throne, fight my enemies, all that? Just basically a big motivational speech for the Dothraki. And then you see at the end, Drogon just opens his mouth, giving another roar. You even see the little glands on his mouth where he shoots the flames. And then that's the episode. Now, that last part with Daenerys and all that, I was just kind of like, I thought it was a weird way to end it, the episode. I didn't feel as hyped through that speech because I always keep hearing it from Daenerys, and she's, it's just, I don't know, I thought that speech was just kind of out of the blue, to be honest. I thought it was just kind of like, I get it, okay Daenerys, we get it. You want Westeros, you want what's yours, and we just kind of want to see it happen now. It's been 6 seasons, and she's still not close yet on that. She still hasn't even taken care of Meereen or the other 2 places, Yunkai and Astapor. So she still has a long way to go, I believe. For me, like Dario says, I don't think she's not fit for ruling at all. Yeah, she's good conqueror because she has dragons and her so-called strong persona, but when it comes to decisions and ruling the political stuff, yeah, I'm sorry, she's just not up there. Which I'm very glad that Tyrion and Varys are taking care of that side. So, I don't know. Well, just to wrap up what I thought about this episode after all that, like I said, this episode was okay. There's, like I said, the only parts that I still thought was important was the return of Uncle Benjen Stark, the visions of the Mad King, the return, we saw Walder Frey again, the mentioning of Riverrun, and all that. We see the, what else? The, Sam taking Heartsbane. We see another Valyrian steel sword. And I believe... And then Arya leaving the Faceless Men, so her plot now is kind of moving along, so I'm glad now her story's kind of continuing now instead of the typical training, which we sort of get. Well, it was pretty cool, but now we kind of see we wanted to go somewhere, which is fine. It finally is now, so I'm glad it's doing that. And then Daenerys thing, typical Daenerys thing. I was just kind of like, nah, it's okay. Or you know, I heard this a million times, so kind of just whatever on Daenerys' part. But overall, again, I thought this was an okay episode because of those important details that I just mentioned. And also, it's also a funny thing, this whole, oh yeah, and then also the important thing about the mention of the Brotherhood without banners. This episode had a lot of returning characters I haven't seen in a while. So, I guess we're going to hopefully see the Brotherhood without banners. And then most importantly, where the hell is Gendry? Still rowing that boat, so I'm hoping to see him. Hopefully this season, if not, maybe next season. But I just... Damn, dude, I don't know what happened to Gendry. But that's another character we haven't seen in a long time. So yeah, there's a lot of returning characters from this episode of this season in general. But yeah, overall, yeah, again, okay episode. Predictions or theories, the whole Bran and the Mad King, the things that I heard about the theory of that I mentioned earlier in this video, I'm sort of 50 and 50 with it, meaning I kind of sort of lean with that theory because of what happened with Hodor, and the other 50 is kind of like, man, maybe it's just the Mad King was just mad, you know, because, you know, that Targaryen ancestry, you know, as time passes by, they sort of get kind of cuckoo in their head. But yeah, and then, yeah, I mean, that's all I can think of, so I can't wait to see what the episodes ahead. I believe, like I saw from the previews, is going to focus a lot on Riverrun and the Tullys and the Blackfish. So I can't wait to see what they're going to do. There. I can't wait to see that. And yeah, and hopefully we'll see more Tyrion and Jon Snow and Sansa, because I know every episode they take away some sagas or arcs. I mean, you know, to show this other arc that we haven't seen in a while, focus more to see, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, next episode you see the ones that we haven't showed. So yeah. But I think that's all I need to talk about this episode. Overall, like I said, okay episode. I thought it was at least slightly better than episode 1 of this season. And then every episode, like 2, 3, 4, and 5, I thought were pretty well. For me, like, order so far, my favorites was episode, I think episode 4 is my favorite so far this season. No. I'm stuck between episode 4 and 5. They're kind of like a tie. Then it's episode 2, then episode 3, episode 1, episode 6, and then episode 1. In that order, at least I would say. But we still got 4 episodes left. We got a month left for this season already. That's the bad thing of Game of Thrones. Time flies. There's only 10 episodes, 10 weeks. So 2.5 months. I heard we're leaving with last 2 seasons. And there'll probably be not 10 episodes anymore. They'll probably be shorter. Which I'm kind of disappointed. But I understand things have to come. They have to come to an end. I don't want it to cash cow this show. So I do want it to come to an end. And hopefully finish and end with a really good conclusion. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this. So I'm going to end this video now. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, you know what to do. But yes, again, thanks for watching, and I hope all of you guys and gals have a nice day.